and it seems like you may not be able to totally account for all that you spend the money on, or the typical one of having to spend monies on things you eventually discover you have no need of. The truth is most of us are victims of this. And while there may be no foolproof guarantee that we'll always be able to account for 100% of our monies all the time, we need to find ways to manage this money we all labor so hard to get. Therefore, today on the program, we'll be looking at how to create a budget and plan your income. First, let me introduce what budgeting is all about and why it is so effective. Budgeting is simply the process of creating a plan to spend your own money. A plan gives you not just an idea, but a documented means of knowing if you have enough to go through a financial goal you have and how to go about it. A budget is really a roadmap where all your money will go so you can make your hard-earned income work for you. It addresses the what, that is what you have, the why, that is your needs and wants, the how, that streams of achieving your financial goal, and the when, the duration of time allotted to achieve the goal. Basically, budgets assign your money a job and establish spending limits for specific expenses so you can use your money responsibly. Creating a budget is important to developing the right spending habits, setting aside money for the long term, and ensuring your salary or the money in your bank account goes where it needs to. It helps you achieve your financial and life goals, definitely giving you the leverage to make future plans and showing you how to reach the financial goals you have set for yourself and even possibly your loved ones. Another benefit of budgeting is that it allows you to be ready for emergencies, giving you a softening effect when you have unexpected expenses or a misfortune happens. It keeps you out of debt, as having a budget will give you an idea of how much debt you can only afford to have and enables you to pay off loans. The truth is, budgeting makes your life better. And without a clear-cut budget, there is very little you would save for emergencies, investments, or major purchases. So if you have a take-home pay of, say, 100,000 a month, how can you pay for housing, food, insurance, healthcare, debt repayments, and fun things without running out of money? That's a lot to cover with a limited amount, right? The answer is simply to budget. So how do you make a budget? The first step to making a budget is to actually decide that you want to live on a budget. You have to make that decision to live on a budget that will help you track you and your family's income and expenses, giving you 100% control of where and how your money goes. The second step will be to gather up your financial paperwork. One of the keys to the budget making process is to create a monthly average. Hence, you will need to gather up all your financial statements like your bank statements, investment accounts if you have any, recent utility bills, receipts from the last 3 months, basically any information about your income and expenses, everything you own that shows money coming in and going out. The more information you have or dig up, the better. After you have gathered all information about your income and expenses, the next step will be to identify and calculate all your streams of income. How much income do you get or expect each month? If your income is in the form of a regular paycheck, where your tax is automatically deducted, then using the net income, that is your take-home pay amount, is fine. If you are self-employed or have outside sources of income, or if you engage in entrepreneurship, include this as well. Then record this total income as a monthly amount. If you also have a variable income, for example, from a freelancing job, use the income from your lowest earning month in the past as your baseline income. Once you have your total income, that's the monthly amount, move on to create a list of your monthly expenses. Identify all your expenses essentials, either daily, weekly, or monthly, and write down on the list all the expenses you expect to have during a month. It can be your rent, car payments, insurance, provisions, and food stuff, which is very important. Your PHCN or utility bills, your entertainment, that is your DSTV or GoTV subscription, your personal care for ladies, this is important, hair making, eating out, childcare if you have a nanny, your transportation costs, your loan repayments, and most importantly, your savings. Make use of all your bank statements, the receipts, and the financial paperwork from the last 3 months you gathered earlier to identify all your spendings for a month. After that, you need to identify and determine your fixed and variable expenses and expenses that can be done without. So fixed expenses are those mandatory expenses that you pay the same amount for each time, like your rent, car payment, internet service, the waste bin pickup, childcare. Basically, any essential spending that tends to stay the same from month to month. If you plan to save a fixed amount or pay off a certain amount of debt each month, also include the savings and debt prepayment as fixed expenses. Variable expenses are the type that may change from month to month, such as your foodstuffs. If you don't have an emergency fund, include a category for surprise expenses that may come up over the course of the month and it might derail your budget. I would, however, deeply advise you to start an emergency fund as soon as possible. With expenses that can be done without, look for cheaper alternatives or options available without compromising on quality. Quality is very important. New opportunities can and should always be explored. Once you've identified and determined which expenses are fixed, variable, and those that can be done without, start assigning a spending cost to each category, beginning with your fixed expenses. Then estimate how much you will need to spend per month on your variable expenses. If you are not sure how much you spend in each category, make a review of your last 2 to 3 months bank transactions to make a rough estimate. After you have done all of this, add up your monthly income and expenses. If your income is higher than your expenses, you are off to a good start. You're good to go. The extra money means you can add to areas of your budget like your savings or paying off a loan or a debt. If you have more income than expenses, you can also consider adopting the 50-30-20 budgeting philosophy. In a 50-20-30 budget, your needs or vital expenses should represent half of your budget. That is, you spend roughly 50% of your after-tax income on necessities. Your wants should make up another 30%. You must spend no more than 30% on things you desire, and your savings and debt repayment should make up the final 20% of your budget. Over the long term, if you follow this philosophy, you will have manageable debts, room to spoil yourself occasionally, and savings to use for irregular or unexpected expenses and be financially comfortable. If all of your needs overshoot the 50% mark, you may need to take out of the month's portion of your budget for a while, but you have to adjust your spending and revisit your fixed expenses occasionally to see where you can cut costs. Separating your wants from your needs can be difficult. In general, your needs are essential for you to live and work, and wants include outings, gifts, and entertainment. The truth is, it's not always easy to decide. Decisions vary, and what it is you want for might be a need for someone and a want for another person. Budgeting is personal, and if you're eager to get out of debt as fast as you can, you may decide your wants can wait until you have some savings or your debts are under control. Note that your budget should not be so harsh and should have a little room in case you forgot about an expense or one was bigger than you anticipated and some money you are entitled to spend as you wish. Your budget is a tool to help you, not a limitation to keep you from enjoying life ever. If there's no money for fun, you won't less likely stick to your budget, and a good budget is one you should stick with. Now, on the other hand, if your expenses are higher than your income, that means you are overspending and you need to make some changes fast. Adjust your expenses by finding areas in your variable expenses you can cut. Look for places you can reduce your spending, like eating out less, or eliminate a category, like, for example, if you have a gym membership. Now, if your expenses are far above your income or you have significant debt, reducing your variable expenses may not be enough. You may need to trim your fixed expenses and increase your income to balance your budget. Aim to have your income and expense columns to be equal. This equal balance means all of your income is accounted for and budgeted towards a specific expense or savings goal. There are actually also various apps with a ready template that can make it so much easier for you. All you need to do is input your income streams, your expenses, and in fact, you can start small by keeping track of your daily expense and income before you get to the more complex part of it. After you have set up your budget, you must monitor and continue to track your expenses in each category, ideally every day of the month. The same budgeting spreadsheet or app used to make your budget can also be used to record your expense and income totals. Recording what you spend throughout the month will keep you from overspending and help you identify unnecessary expenses or problematic spending patterns. Take a few minutes each day to record your expenses rather than putting it off until the end of the month. If you're not confident that you can budget your money, adopt the envelope system, where you divide cash for spending into separate envelopes for different spending categories. When an envelope becomes empty, you have to stop spending in that particular category. As you use your budget, keep an eye on how much you have spent. Once you have reached your spending limit in a category, you would either need to stop that type of spending for the month or move money from another category to cover additional expenses. Your goal in using your budget should be to keep your expenses equal to or lower than your income for the month. Well, that brings us to the end of today's episode of The Human Angle. I hope you've been able to learn a thing or two, and you will take these budgeting lessons to heart and begin to take absolute control of your personal finance. If you're interested in an income expense tracker that will help you to such a short and long-term financial goals, budget your income, monitor your investments, and track your personal finances, kindly send a mail to programs@proshareng.com and business@proshareng.com. Also visit our website www.proshareng.com to get more updates on your personal finance and updates from our news stories and videos. Don't forget to follow us on our social media platforms shown on the screen for further updates on our market reports. Till tomorrow, thank you for watching and bye for now.